Hello everyone, Trophy Wine Hunter. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a review of a wine night I had with my friends. Again, we haven't got together for a while since of COVID. Some people are back in town, so we decided to have a little tasting. Start off with the Alex Gambel 2012 Batard Marche. I love this region. I love the smokiness of this region. I love the weight of this region. So this one was actually a little bit light for my taste. My notes on this, it was lovely with citrus and smoke elements. A little bit light for a Batard, maybe a little young, maybe had a little bit cold. My rating was 92 points. We had it with the 2008 Domaine Leflaive Batar Marche. And I'm quite familiar with this wine. I'm going to probably do a tasting of this, or a full tasting of this wine. Eventually, I have quite a few bottles of this wine. This is pretty prototypical Batard for me. Really smoky, a little bit more weight than the Gambel. A little bit more age on it. A little bit more intensity of flavor, and a little bit more complexity in terms of it had some almost like waxiness or some kerosene type aromas with butteriness and oak. So a little bit more complex in terms of the structure of the wine. My rating of the wine is 95 points. Next wine is a wine you don't see very often. It's the 1981 Latour. Not kind of an off vintage, so that's why you don't see it very much. I don't think a lot of people keep it for this long, but expectations were low, but it's actually pretty good. So it was still drinking very nicely. So I think the surprise factor probably gave it a couple extra points. I think it's still got good tannins. It's got a little bit of green pepper and greenness in the aroma and the taste. Cinnamon, tobacco, a little bit dried dark fruit. Leathery kind of texture, but good balance. I didn't think it was over acidic, so I'd still give it 91 points, and it was really surprising, and so that to me was a really fun part of the night. This next wine wasn't a surprise. It was Forts de Latour 2010. This is their second wine, 2010, magnificent vintage for Bordeaux. And this one was just prototypical Forts de Latour. This is why Forts de Latour is considered probably at second growth level. It's everything you want from a Latour. A lot of power, but also smooth, very integrated fruit. Black plums, anise, cassis, blackberry, tobacco, and cocoa on the aftertaste. Really solid, wonderful wine, and not a lot of complaints about this wine. I mean, it's just very structured, balanced, good intensity. It's a really well-made wine and showing very nicely. My rating was 95 points on this wine. Next wine was my wine of the night. I'm a big Cinsault fan, and I don't think I've ever had a bottle I didn't enjoy. But anyways, this is their 2009, The Thrill of Stamp Collecting. It's a Syrah. Their labels are different each year, and they call them different things, but they're either usually a Syrah or Grenache based wine. This one is a blend, but mostly Syrah, 90% Syrah, 6% Grenache, 4% Viognier. What I like about Cinsault wines is that they have incredible intensity, but also they're ethereal and light. So they've got that sophistication. So they don't come across as just big and bold. They're bold, great intensity of flavor without being overpowering. A little bit of spice component on it, smokiness, some leather, black plums. So I really enjoy the integration and the smoothness. That really, you don't see that a lot from, I guess, the Syrah, but I really think they've got it done wonderfully. So my rating of this wine is 95 points. Next wine was the 1995 Mouton. Don't worry about the label. We just make drinking among friends, so we didn't care. I think what happened was that the side like paper to the bottle got wet. It got stuck to the label, and maybe they tried to peel it off, and they peeled off the whole label. But that didn't affect the wine. The wine was fine. 95 has never been one of my favorite vintages in Bordeaux. It's kind of to me, a little bit over tannic, and this was no different. It was quite tannic, not a lot of fruit, or else the fruit didn't balance the tannins. Yet tobacco, tea leaves on the palate, nice oak integration. To me, it's a great wine still, but I prefer the 96 vintage, and even today for drinking, I prefer the 99 vintage over the 95. It's not a really warm and fuzzy type vintage in my books. My rating is 93 points. We just threw in a Brunello, not sure why, but I guess we just opened it, so we decided to have it. So it was the 2010 Casanova di Neri Brunello. Great wine. It's like 95-point wine, but in this lineup, it kind of lost a little bit its step because we're drinking a lot of Bordeaux's, and there's some pretty heavy wines out there. This was surprisingly light, especially the mid palate wasn't as strong as I'd like. And it could be just the food or the tasting or where it was in the night, but it didn't seem to show as well as probably we would expect. They had some spice, some leather, some tobacco, some dark fruit, but it probably had a hard competition to hold up against all these other wines. So my rating of the wine was 92 points. Last wine was the 2004 Chateau Ausone. I was concerned about this wine because I've had other what we would consider off vintages of Ausone, which haven't performed very well. But this was great. A wonderful intensity of flavors, black fruit smoke, even a bit of licorice, which I'm not usually crazy about, but more like red licorice, a spicy aftertaste, toasty, really intense flavor. Very similar in terms of intensity to the Forts de Latour. It really kind of stood out in terms of the intensity. So tannin level was good, mid palate, structure was great. So really well drinking, smooth and chocolatey at the end. Really enjoyed the wine. So it's 95 points in my book. All in all, great tasting, great fun with my friends, and got to taste some really magnificent wines. Hope you've enjoyed this tasting. Until next time, happy drinking.